Hello, welcome to Forest Focus. As Nottingham Forest take another big step towards Champions League football with a 4-2 win at Ipswich Town today. Joining me to discuss goals for Elanga, Milenkovic and Jota in Nuno's 50th game as Reds manager is, first of all, Simon Fotheringham. Fothers, good evening, good afternoon, how are you?
Evening, Matt. Yeah, very well, thank you. Thoroughly enjoyed that this afternoon.
Is it evening, 5:40? I think it probably.
Yeah,
I think it's evening.
I think you can call it evening.
I think we'll say evening. Ending his barren run of post-match show appearances is Lewis McGugan. Lewis, how are you doing?
Yeah, well, I'm thankful that I'm now coming on for a post-match after a really good result. So it makes a change. That's for sure.
It does. What was it? What were your last two? Was it definitely Bournemouth away? Fulham as well?
Yeah. Bournemouth from Fulham. Or it might have been Newcastle.
Oh my God. Grim. Well, grim.
Yeah.
It wasn't grim stay though. It was very good. It was a very good stay. We'll get into a few thoughts, obviously, and we'll break down of it all around, Gibbs-White, Anderson, the England squad, etc., etc. But just kick us off, Father's general thoughts on what you saw.
It's comfortable, wasn't it? I thought the first 30 minutes was fairly even. Thought Ipswich were doing okay. That wasn't me, was it? I thought Ipswich were doing okay. I thought it was fairly even for 30 minutes. And then, fantastic goal. Can you hear whistling?
Yes.
Great first goal. Shocking defending from the corner from Ipswich, but I thought Milenkovic took it really well. And then they seemed to fall apart for up till half time, and then second half was comfortable, wasn't it? A bit frustrating that we conceded a couple of goals, but when you're 3-0 up and then 4-1 up, I suppose Lewis will know more about that, but you maybe just take your eye off the ball a little bit. But on the whole, I thought comfortable win, and we were clearly the better side, weren't we, for the majority?
Yeah, I don't know what that whistling was, but it's gone, so that's the main thing. So that's good. That's good. Chris Aylmer, thank you very much for the €15. Very much appreciate that. Chris Aylmer and I are a bit obsessed with FPL, and Chris stayed up till I think 3 a.m. working on his team, which is absolutely mental. So I thought I'd out you there, Chris. He mentions Milenkovic's FPL returns there. So yeah, thank you, Chris, for the cash, and also thank you very much to Lachlan for signing up for membership. Lachlan Morrison, very good of you, Lachlan. Appreciate that. Lewis, Fathers mentioned there something that was my first question to you, just around. We conceded 2 goals. I don't mind too much. The fans probably don't mind, but with the mentality of the dressing room and the high standards they set, will they even leave Portman Road, certainly the back four and the keeper, with a sense of a little bit of disappointment or not?
Yeah, 100%. Any goalkeeper and backline, the first thing they want to do is get a clean sheet, especially when you go and convincingly are up in a game and scored the goals. It's that vital thing. And I know half time they would have been saying in it, come out second half, make sure we get a clean sheet, because it just makes sure it just rounds us off that kind of full performance, really. So they'll be gutted and annoyed that the goals that they conceded, and they allow it to look at the scoreline. Again, it was a very comfortable afternoon, but it's 2 goals that was avoidable. But yeah, that with the goalkeeper and the back line will definitely be disappointing.
We'll break down the goals as we go along. There's a couple of main themes I want to pick at the thread of. Probably a lot of them revolve around Gibbs-White. So we'll talk around him about how he was used, but also him not being in the England squad. I mean, Lewis, what did you make of him not being in the England squad? I always thought it was baffling. A lot of people thought it was. Were you on that wavelength, or were you not surprised he wasn't picked?
Yeah, in terms of Morgan, I'm not surprised. In terms of the England, I don't think we're surprised. Yes, there's a new figurehead there, but it's still the same situation, still the same things happening. And unfortunately, I think that's why international football has become what it is. I think that there's a lot of people have got disinterested into it. Why it is, if you look at the squads, if you look at, again, when you looked at Southgate, the first thing he said he was going to pick on form. Over time, that changed straight away. And if you look at the first squad that Tuchel's picked, there's so many in there that I'm just not quite sure where it's come from. And listen, it's very frustrating for our players, the players that have been doing so well week in, week out this season. You want that international recognition, and they fully deserve it. But from a with a Forest head on, they now get rest. They get time to spend with their family. They can recharge the batteries, which will be, again, a very important running now to the end of the season.
I'll come back to Pothers in one sec. Sorry, Pothers. One more for Lewis just quickly before we pick it again. You mentioned there about rest and everything. Do you think at all this will make Morgan think, oh, I need to move if I'm going to get in the England squad? Is it way too early for that because there's other squads to come? I think I saw a few people say that on Twitter. It was a concern amongst fans, the kind of motivation to succeed versus frustration at not being in the squad.
Listen, it depends what the conversation he's had with the England manager, and again, that will tell him a lot in terms of what the future looks like on an international scene. But I look at it and I think to myself that when you are playing in the Premier League and you're potentially playing for maybe a club that's probably at the bottom half of the table and you're doing well, and you talk about that England opportunity, you normally leave to try and get into them Champions League spaces, into them bigger games at the top end of the pitch, and you think that will potentially help you get in that squad. We're there. So, and we're there on merit. And not only that, these players that are there, the likes of Morgan, Elliot Anderson, they're integral parts of what we're doing. So for me, no, I don't think he'll look at it and think that I've got to move. I think he's a place where he's really enjoying his football. He's loved by the fans. He's loved by his teammates. He plays in week out. And like I said, coming the end of the season, hopefully, we'll be playing Champions League football. So there's no reason for him to move. I'm not sure what he will gain right now. And yes, okay, wants to play in the international. But listen, if this form in this current team where we are in the league doesn't warrant that, then I'm not sure what does.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the primary thing for this is, he goes out there and he plays well, and he couldn't have done much more today, could he, apart from score a goal, I guess?
No, absolutely. I mean, 14 goals in his last 15 games he's been involved in, and you talk about picking an England team on current form. It's just a joke, isn't it? And looking at some of the comments in the comments that people are agreeing that, but at the end of the day, he's not going to play for England. He's not getting injured while he's away there, so he's back with us. Like Lewis said, he can have a rest, he can have a break. But we all want to see him play, don't we? We all want to see him in the England squad, and I thought he was outstanding today. I thought he's the best player we've got. I've said that several times on the podcast. Best player we've got for me by a mile, and he should be in the England squad. And end of really. But he did everything again today, didn't he? Put it on a plate for Jota. He put one on a plate for Woody, but Woody stopped running because I think he thought he was going to shoot. He's great. Front to back. The work rate, the skill. Every time he gets it, he goes forward. Just quality.
Yeah, I mean, I think the stuff we already knew he had was great today. Some really great disguised passes, but also, winning back the ball. I mean, he and Anderson really dominated that midfield, I felt, Lewis. He showed a bit of everything that he's got, I guess, today.
Yeah, no, listen, I think, again, we spoke about numerous times about what would you think his position is? Where's his best position? I think the more mature and experienced he get, I think he'll play deeper. I think from an experience role, when you potentially could play deeper or in that 10 role, you're always sometimes reliant on people getting you the ball and finding your ball in them areas. And sometimes the game can pass you by and you can go in kind of 10 minutes without touching the ball. And then when you get it again, you feel like you've got to do something kind of at the ordinary every time you get it. Whereas from that deeper role, he can now control games. A lot of things are going through him. The first pass from defence is normally through him. And I think him and Anderson really combine well. But I look at it and I think from a deeper part of that pitch in that central midfield area, I think he's more effective.
Let's talk about the first goal then. It's interesting for this. You referenced the first 30 minutes being very tight, and I agree they were. I thought Ipswich showed that they're a decent team, but then they just fell apart as soon as we scored. Horrible goal to concede, wasn't it? When it comes from that corner where the keeper cannons it into his own defender. That's sort of a relegation team goal in the build-up, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they are. I don't think they're very good. I think as soon as we settled into the game, we were clearly the better side. And I mean, what a ball from Callum Hudson-Odoi to Dominguez as well. The little chip to the back post, Dominguez's header back, and yeah, we got a bit lucky the way it fell to Milenkovic, but he put it away, didn't he? And I just think that Ipswich, for all the huffing and puffing, and like I said earlier, a couple of goals when they're 3 goals behind. Apart from that, I think they're going down, aren't they?
What did you make of them, Lewis? How much of it was a case of us being good versus them being terrible? How bad are they, do you think?
I think today was quite interesting in terms of two teams and looking at it from two teams and where they are. And if you look at Ipswich in terms of their success to get where they are, they've had that kind of same team, really, really good momentum, and has carried that from kind of League One into the Championship. Whereas now you see it that a lot of the time through them 2 years of getting promotion, they've just had constant momentum and confidence. As they come into this league, it's gone the other way, and they've now got to deal with potentially most games they're losing, and now you're seeing where the momentum can swing against you, and where they're now thinking, where's that next win going to come from? Whereas you look at Forest and you look at us and the momentum we have, we go into every game now with the season we've had thinking that we're going to win, thinking that we're going to take all 3 points. And that just shows you how important momentum and confidence is in football. And I think that the two teams are at different end of the scales. And I also look at, again, with the two teams, I think a lot of what we've done this year, barring a few games, our back 5 have been absolutely magnificent. And it's that solid foundation that we've built on. If you look at Ipswich, they can score goals, but for me, their back line is nowhere near good enough for the Premier League. It's nowhere near good enough. And ultimately, that's why they'll come up short. Like you see today, they've scored 2 goals. Yeah, they'll go and get goals. But if you look at across their back line, I know they tried to bring in Godfrey and a few in January and hopefully try and give that Premiership experience. But that's what they haven't got. None of their back line really has got Premier League experience. Along with the goalkeeper, I think they've changed the goalkeeper 3 times this season already, which tells you everything. So again, I look at them and I think that they've rode a wave for 2 years, and rightly so, from League One up into the Championship, and they've been terrific. And a lot of their squad have stayed the same and had that confidence. But from experience, confidence can soon kind of vanish from a change room, collectively and individually. And when it does, it's a uphill task. And I think that's what you're seeing with Ipswich now.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good assessment. It was a good finish from Milenkovic for us because, like I say, tight game. Maybe we concede the first goal. It gets a bit nervy, but Milenkovic puts it away, and it felt pretty conclusive certainly after the second goal. But Milenkovic again today. Just talk about his all-round performance.
Yeah, he was superb, wasn't he? He's up there for he's on my shortlist for man of the match. I thought he was outstanding, and like you say, it was a striker's finish, wasn't it? He just took it so well on the half volley into the roof of the net. The goalkeeper's got no chance, and that was the difference, wasn't it? And Lewis has said it there that we're at a different end of the spectrum to where Ipswich are, because in front of goal you've got the composure. When you're on a roll like we're on at the moment, in terms of third in the Premier League and the confidence that we've got coming into the game, having just beat the champions last week, you look at the way Elanga finished his 2 chances, and even Jota when he finished his, and Milenkovic. There's just that quality that Ipswich, that I feel that Ipswich don't have, that we clearly have in abundance right now.
Yeah, massively. We'll come to the second goal 2 minutes after that shortly, but just before we do, a word for the Trent navigation. A word from Matt Ford, in fact, because he says it better than I can. So we'll see you in just over 30 seconds.
Not only have they created something fantastic, where they've created like an identity around a pub that had been there a very long time. They've like given it this new lease of life. That's become an extension of the ground, really, the Big Shed. He's so funny, man. That advert. And I tell you what, the pies look great. I'm jealous of people who have season tickets. I'm jealous of people who get to go to the Big Shed or the Trent Nav on the regular. I'm just like, man, I just want to sit in that pub all day. I want to drink. I think they had Bass on tap there. 10 pints of Bass, 10 cobs, a pie. Go home to have the best sleep you've ever had.
There you go. What a day. What a day that would be. Right. Thanks very much, Matt Ford. Thanks very much to the Trent Nav. Second goal. I mean, the game kind of turned. It didn't turn. We were in control, but the momentum switched very rapidly. Talk us through the second goal, Lewis. And, we win it in midfield. Take it from there with Elanga putting it away really well.
Yeah, I think it's just confidence. People in the right area with that confidence. And it's a great finish. And again, it's even where you felt that potentially Ipswich was trying to get themselves back into the game and try and kind of put their stamp on it. We've always been all season just that deadly breakaway, and we can take the game away from the opposition. And I think again that first half was a true kind of indication of that we can just in a short space of time really kill off opposing teams.
Elanga's role it's an interesting one. I'll ask about Gibbs-White's role in a minute, Lewis. But Elanga playing has he got a floating role? How will we describe it? Because we've played him as a striker a few times and it hasn't worked. But normally as a lone striker. Now Nuno's got him roaming everywhere, and it seems to he seems to have caught fire really the last 10, 15 games.
Yeah, I think it's been quite interesting in terms of the manager has tweaked it a little bit. I think Arsenal was kind of did it a little bit. Then you see it against Man City, and what it is, it's basically most people look like a normal 4-3-3. But how it works is, and I think that's why again Dominguez gets that nod, because Dominguez is kind of playing in a half and half spaces. He's not a full-out right winger where he's on the line, but he plays from that kind of right midfield, what turns into a 4. Elanga then steps up and makes kind of a front 2. And especially if you look today with Ipswich, what they do, obviously with the goalkeeper and the back three, they try and get that extra man and look to play out. If you could see Morgan was going advanced on that first kick, hoping to catch them. And once that ball kind of then got taken behind the strikers in terms of Chris Wood, Morgan was straight sprinting back into that deep centre midfield position. So again, they're the little tactical things that you're now starting to see. Obviously, what's their threat? Ipswich, they want to try and start it from the goalkeeper. That's a big part of what they're doing. So it's a little bit of a risk. Nuno pushes again, Morgan up out of that slot, and we just try and force their hand to nick it there. And if not, we're back into that midfield 4. But I do think that's interesting in the last few games that Elanga has now gone up and played kind of off Wood. And then Dominguez plays off that right-hand side, which leaves Morgan and Anderson as a central 2 midfield, where probably, again, we've had that discussion on here numerous times. Did we think that they could play together? Well, they're proving it now. So I think again, these are these little tweaks week in, week out that from maybe a whole you don't really see. But they're then finer details that at this level win and lose your games.
Yeah. I mean, the tactics would have been easy to overlook for us because, we had better players who won the game comfortably. But I think a factor in that was Nuno, certainly, because in the preview we did when you were on, I think we all said, let's play him as a 10. Let's go back to what we've been doing. But actually, I think it was definitely the right thing to do today, wasn't it? To play that slightly, deeper role for Morgan. And then Lewis elaborated on it really well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it keeps it fluid as well, doesn't he? He kept changing it against Manchester City as well. And I love what Nuno's doing right now in terms of just moving people around and moving the goalposts and just changing the way as the game's going on. Just looking at it, managing it, it's worked again today, hasn't it? And it was always going to work today, wasn't it, against Ipswich? Because, like you've just said, we're better than them. But I love the free role of Elanga today. The fact that he popped up on the left wing, helping Hudson-Odoi early on, and then he found space on the right hand side. He was dropping back. He was up with Woody and 2 clinical finishes. It's just great to watch, isn't it, at the moment? And Gibbs-White has the ability to play in whatever role Nuno asks him to do, because he's not just a brilliant footballer, he's a brilliant thinker, and just brings everybody into the game, and just absolute quality. And we were too good for them today, weren't we? And Elliot Anderson as well. Elliot Anderson drops in to wherever he needs to be and wherever Nuno wants him to do. He was the one that picked up the loose ball, actually made the challenge to free Elanga for the second goal. So it's working, isn't it? And long may it continue.
Oh yeah, Anderson was great. Anderson was excellent today, I thought. I mean, there's probably not too much to say about the third goal. You referenced their back line, Lewis. We talked about the quality we've had, but that was in a way that was sort of a championship goal, just a long ball over the top. You've got to give a lot of credit to Elanga, obviously, but from an Ipswich point of view, that's just a disaster, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that just shows kind of defensively where they currently are. But again, we have to be there to pounce on any mistakes. And I think again, you look at it kind of off that back line, pace scares everyone. And again, his pace in behind, that's where maybe the miscommunication comes with the Ipswich defensive line. Someone want to push up. A couple of them in their back three might not be comfortable to push up because they know that space is in behind and that's what he needs and that's what he wants, his space. So I think, again, across that forward line, him, I wouldn't say having that free roll, but he just picks up little areas at certain times, which at the moment is really getting kind of that end product. And what we spoke about before, when he's getting in them situations, it looks like he's always going to score, which again, for going into the rest of the season, that is a great place to be.
Yeah, because one big worry we had, Fothers, was what happens if Chris Wood gets, misses a game or two. Obviously, that's still a big concern, but we've got goals coming from different areas, and Chris Wood today, I mean, he wasn't quite as clinical as he has been, but should he have scored that chance 54 minutes? I noted down Palmer saves from Dominguez's low ball.
I thought Woody was poor generally today, and I don't like to criticise him because I think he's been superb, hasn't he, all season? But I just think he was poor today. He hit that quite well. The chance on 54 minutes, he hit it quite well, but it was just too close to the keeper, and the keeper nearly messed up, to be honest. And then there was a chance later on as well when Gibbs-White played him in. And he stopped running because I think he thought Gibbs-White was going to have a shot, but no, he did okay, but just lacked a little bit. I felt today maybe he's just running out of steam a little bit. I don't know, but a couple of weeks break and hopefully he'll be back and get a goal. But yeah, he probably should have done better with that chance on 54.
He's travelling the world again with New Zealand, isn't he? I don't know. It's the best thing when you.
He's not resting, is he? No, he's not.
No, I kind of he was at 33. But what do you make of Wood recently, Lewis? Is it just a little bit symptomatic that he's hardly had a kick for City and Arsenal on it in front of goal as a thing? Is that just a little bit of an inevitable regressing to the mean? He's not going to score every single chance he gets, is he?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think sometimes we probably kind of look past what he does for the rest of the team. And I think, again, when you look at a number 9, you're thinking goals straight away. But I think how he plays and how we play, I think he does so much for the likes of Elanga, Hudson-Odoi, and he takes so much pressure away from them. He takes probably a lot of the hits through them. And again, so I'm not worried at all. I think, again, he's been fantastic this year. And he's, in like every striker, going to have games where potentially he's not as involved as before, but again, he's shown numerous times this season that he'll come up with the goals and the performances when we need him. So listen, I again, potentially he wasn't probably super involved today, but the other two and the other players around him have got the plaudits. And again, it's what he does away from the ball, the way he occupies defenders, allowing them spaces for the likes of Elanga to go and to go in and get them opportunities, which like today happened. So I think again, he's been terrific. Unfortunately, with the international, you'd like him to have a rest, especially with his age and there, but we do understand it. But again, that's why we have a squad, and if needed, hopefully Tyro's there, ready to come in, which again, I said it quite kind of on the show before about, I think that he'll come in and have a little spell when we need him. And it might be at the end of the season where potentially he comes out of nowhere and he plays 2 or 3 games and helps us across the line, because again, we're going to need everyone in there. So I think it's very important that he's still getting his minutes like he did today. And hopefully if he's called upon, he's ready to go.
Just looking who he's playing. They are playing. Okay, they're playing Fiji in the semi-finals of World Cup qualification. So, I don't know. Would you rather Lewis? I mean, I'm not being disrespectful to Fiji, but it's a good chance for him to get back back on the goal sheet. Would you rather him boost his confidence that way? Not that it's waving, or would you rather him get the rest? I don't know where the balance lies there. What do you think?
No, and again, I think it's one of these things. I think from a fan point of view, and maybe that kind of Nottingham Forest on that selfish, you wouldn't want him to go at all. But we have to understand that these players, they play for the country, and it means a lot to them if they get that opportunity and if they get selected. So the travelling and the travelling, it's one of those things. It's normally the sometimes the concerning bit about that after having been in change rooms with international players that are maybe playing in them kind of areas. It's not so much kind of when they go in the away in international, because most players are. It's when them kind of players get back. They normally get back later in the week compared to the kind of players that are playing in Europe. So for an example, if normally they're like kind of the 2 games in an international break, will always be a weekend and then maybe a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But by the time Wednesday's a day off, if they say back in Thursday morning, where sometimes them kind of international countries that are a long way away, they don't probably land until Thursday morning, which potentially they don't train till Friday. So that sometimes is the big thing with those destinations. So, but listen, like I say, hopefully with them now, like I say, times have changed. Hopefully they sorted that out where he can get back into the country as soon as possible after his games.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I was just going to say, he certainly won't be travelling economy, will he? So they'll be looking after him on the flight. You would like to think he'll get a bit of sleep on the way back, but it's a long way though, isn't it?
Yeah, and I don't think we can begrudge a player that wants to represent their country, especially as he's obviously so keen to do it with a lot of pride. So yeah, I think it's fine. I think it's good for him and good for New Zealand football. We've got 3 players in the squad as well, so good luck to them. Just looking at the final phase of the game, Fothers got a little bit open, didn't it? It wasn't quite like us, even when we brought Morata on. I'll ask Lewis about the goals, but just in general, last 20 minutes. It was quite end-to-end, wasn't it?
It was, and it didn't really need to be, did it? It wasn't us. We bring Morata on to manage the game out. I think he came on at 3-0, didn't he? So you would expect then just to manage the game out, but it didn't quite work out how we wanted. They always looked like they might sneak a goal, didn't they? Delap should have scored from that header. Start of the second half, they had a couple of other half chances, but I think. It's fine, isn't it? If we'd have all taken 4-2 at the start of the day, wouldn't we? And the fact that it was a comfortable 4-2 because we were 3 goals ahead when they got their goals. Yes, we're going to be disappointed we haven't kept a clean sheet. But I think on the whole, the last 20 minutes was entertaining. It was fine. I thought their first goal was a great finish, actually. The commentator was criticising Sells for not getting his dive away, but I thought he placed what was his name? It's Cajuste, is it called? Cajuste. I thought he took the goal really well, and it was a good header at the end, wasn't it? But we're 4-1 up with 2 minutes to go. I think it's Lewis. You'll know better than us. Do you take your eye off the ball a little bit when you're in the lead like that with a couple of minutes to go, or are you still disappointed that you've let that goal in at the end?
Yeah, you're definitely disappointed, and I won't say you take your eye off the ball. I think human instinct. I think when you get that lead at half time and you go out the second half, even if your kind of narrative in your head changes, because you're looking and you think to yourself, you've done the damage. What we don't want to do is let them back into the game. So straight away you drop probably 10, 15 yards more than you probably would do and be on that front foot because you're not chasing. You've already got them goals. Also added to that, I think sometimes when we go, and I know Nuno's done it a lot, when we go to that back 5, sometimes that kind of gets us a little bit deeper as well, and then we can't get out as much, and we seem like kind of pending a little bit. Listen, and they get that first goal, which, like you said, is a quality finish, and then you just kind of hoping that they don't try and nick another one, and then it's definitely a different a different feeling. But I think at that point there, sometimes when you look at it, I think you want to be structured as much as possible. I think the team for Ipswich today, I think they kind of start playing off the cuff really, in terms of they just kind of try and get back in the game. So their kind of formations and personalities are a bit all over the place. So sometimes the games can go a little bit all over the place. And I think, again, it was a really, really good time that we go and finish and score the goal with Jota, because again, like I said, it changes again. So I think it's one of those things. If we sit here and we're going to do, and Nuno and the staff and the players, they will do again, because they're looking at them finer details. There's little stuff that we're not happy about, but I think all in all, it's a fantastic day, fantastic performance, especially the first half. 3 more points in the bag into international break. I think we can be very happy.
Yeah, definitely. Just quickly on the fourth goal, Fothers. That was a well-worked goal. The subs had a good part in it, and Taiwo and Yates. Maybe Yates will feel he shouldn't have got turned for Kayu's goal. I don't know. It was a great strike, as everyone said. And then Morgan Gibbs-White, excellent. Puts it on a play. Good for Jota as well, wasn't it, to get on the score sheet?
Yeah, I think so. He's been the villain of the piece, hasn't he, since Exeter away? I felt a little bit sorry for him. He's he was diving a little bit at Exeter, and I think the fans some fans have turned against him maybe a little bit. So I'm glad he got the goal. But yeah, Taiwo winning it, Yatesy putting the ball through to Morgan Gibbs-White, and then when Gibbs-White's got it 2-on-1 like that, you pretty much know what's going to happen next. And yeah, he took it well. I think the goalkeeper got a touch on it, didn't he? But it nestled in the corner, and at that point, I think the game's done, and okay, they go down the other end and get another one back. But yeah, another good goal, clinical. All 4 goals were great finishes, weren't they?
Yeah, they were definitely. I think Nuno looked like he was getting a bit. Mikey texted this to me as well. He was getting a bit annoyed with Jota's positioning a couple of times, but maybe that's something we can address another day. Right, you chaps think about who your man of the match was, if it's an easy decision or not. Pretty easy for me, but maybe more difficult for you. We'll come back after this quick word for Nottingham Window Company. Thanks for sponsoring the post-match shows as ever throughout the season. If you're looking to buy new windows, new doors, as we head into the warmer weather, although it's absolutely freezing today and the last few days, then do check out Nottingham Window Company. Link is in the description. It's owned by Forest fans, and I'm sure there's lots of Forest fans who work there as well. So great to support a local business if you're looking to make a big purchase this summer. Right, man of the match, Lewis, an easy one for you or not? Who would it be?
Yeah, listen, I think after maybe the kind of international, not the international call up there, to go out there again, a captain performance with a little bit of negativity from that, and listen, he's human. He would have felt that going to the game, and he also would have gone to prove again to put in that performance. And I think again that shows the character of him, instead of that kind of sulking and thinking, that he's gone and shown it again why he should be in there. And like I said, as long as his football does the talking, what decision will be outside, he ain't got no control of that, but he's got control of going to help himself, but more importantly, going to help the team. And I think today he did that. He did that in many ways. So for me, it's Gibbs-White.
Excellent. 500 people watching, by the way. Do us a favour and hit like if you haven't already. Just looking at the chat, Anderson or Elanga is there from Derek, Gibbs-White from Steve, Elanga, another Elanga, obviously. So lots of love for Elanga. Fothers, what about you? Who would it be?
Well, I'm going to surprise you, Matt, because you'll be expecting me to say Morgan Gibbs-White, because I just love watching him play, and like we've been talking about earlier. But I think Anthony Elanga, for his 2 finishes, just edges it for me, because that took the game away from Ipswich, and they were both such clinical finishes. But can I give a shout out for Nico Williams as well? Because I thought Nico Williams was outstanding today, and a lot of talk about the midfield, and I get that, because the midfield were great. Milenkovic was great. But I thought Nico Williams had one of his best games for us today as well. I thought he was outstanding. He nearly scored as well at one point, and he nearly set somebody else up for one where he flashed it across the goal. So Anthony Elanga, with closely followed by Morgan Gibbs-White and Nico Williams.
Very good, very good. There's Nico in the chat there from Rafik as well. I see. 100% Gibbs-White for me. I thought he was brilliant. Closely followed more by Anderson for me. Obviously, Elanga was great, but those two dominated the midfield, which has been an area of so much discussion for us. But I think Gibbs-White was fantastic, and all credit to him for responding to disappointment, as Lewis said. Last topic before we go then, in the last 10 minutes or so, I just wanted to have a few thoughts on the big picture of the Champions League race. A lovely result between Brighton and Man City drawing. Bournemouth are playing right now, and I think it's 1-1, but I haven't quite seen any update on that. They're playing Brentford, with Arsenal versus Chelsea tomorrow. I mean, we couldn't be in a much better position, could we, Lewis? I'm starting to have a little look at Arsenal in second. How are you feeling about it all?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. With the kind of league came up in towards the end of the game, you look at it and 1 point behind Arsenal, and you now look at them, their big game tomorrow, where they've got to go and get a result. So listen, I think we're definitely looking up, and I think it's the teams around us. Like I say, if we can take care of what we can do, and then you look at you look at Arsenal, you look at Manchester City, you look again at Ipswich, where they're the ones again at home, big games. We've turned up. Can we go and match it away from home against a relegation team and go and get them 3 points, which is definitely even more important, and we've done that. So I think we're in a fantastic place. I think it's great to be involved in it, but for me, it's definitely looking above now, and it's now up to the other teams to try and catch us, and it's as simple as that for me.
What about you, Podders? How are you feeling?
I still think it's mad. I'm still looking at the league table and just laughing. I can't believe. I mean, I'd have taken 16th at the start of the season, and here we are talking about finishing in the top 4, pretty much definitely, I think. And I'm Mr. Pessimist, but even I'm looking at Arsenal now. I'm not even looking at Man City as 6 points behind us now, I think.
Yes.
Let's not underestimate how big last Saturday was. Last Saturday, not just beating Man City, but the manner in which we did it in a game where they would have gone above us. So in the grand scheme of things, we could have been, down in fourth after that game. But to now, 2 games later, having beaten them and beaten Ipswich, and they've lost to us and drawn at home to Brighton, all of a sudden 6 points clear of them, 1 point behind Arsenal. Chelsea will do us a favour tomorrow. What's not to love? And we're going to win the FA Cup as well, aren't we, Matt?
Yes. Okay, if you say so, yeah. Yeah, lovely. Is this international break? You may spin a narrative however you want. Is it a good time for an international break or not, Lewis?
I don't think it's ever a good time for an international break. Speaking now as a fan, as a footballer, they used to come at good time. Listen, it's a time. Sometimes, again, it's also having the rest. But a big thing is it's maybe having a mental rest from the training ground, from being around each other. Again, it's not that I say you love each other's company, you're around each other every day, but sometimes it's really beneficial to have that kind of mental rest away from the training ground instead of the same kind of going in, the same kind of thing. So it splits that up. It allows people to go off in their different directions, whether that's international, whether that's not, and having a little bit of a rest, which I'm sure obviously the manager will decide what them days off are. So listen, I think it's I think it's a good one. The time it comes and you come back in, you're ready for that last little blast towards the end of the season. So I think it's a welcome one for us. And again, you always want to go into it on a real high, and we've definitely done that. So it's definitely going to be a good international break for Nottingham Forest, that's for sure.
I've not seen all the squads, but I'm thinking there's probably only 3 or 4 senior players now that aren't going, such as the stature of our squad. What does training look like, do you think, Lewis, from being there yourself with players who are away internationally, especially when there's so few? What are you doing this week?
Yeah, it's like I say, it's different now. When I was at Forest, we'd probably have probably about 8 or 9 away over the old squad. So our training kind of could carry on, but it depends how the managers do it. Each manager is different in terms of the way they like it. Maybe they kind of what they try and do is having from Saturday today, they'll have a big block off where everyone will be kind of away from the training ground for a kind of a considerable time, maybe the start of the week, and they'll come back in at the top end. Some managers like to go a little block now off, come back in for a little bit, and then have another block off and then come back in. So every single club and every single manager will do it differently, and that's how you try and navigate it from there. But it's for the players that don't go, it's a good time to have a rest. It's a good time to possibly get away, spend some time with the family, like I said, away from the training ground, get a little bit of sun, because unfortunately we're not getting it here, especially after this week. So yeah, they're the little things. They're the little things that can change, but that's down to management and staff how they want to do it. But yeah, the international players that will go away, sometimes it's tough because they're training every single day as normal as they would do. So again, that's why it's very important that we try and get them back fit and ready to go, and for that last little push.
Excellent. Just before we come to final thoughts, do us a favour, if you haven't already hit subscribe, that'd be great. Do consider membership or Patreon, and you'll get early access to interviews if you're a member, and that will include we'll hear from former Reds manager Paul Hart next week, so that'll be good. He was at the City game. Look forward to hearing from him. We'll also be back on Monday with Prutz and Mikey, I think. And a date for your diaries as well. Thursday, April the 3rd at the Trent Navigation is our first live show of the year. Lewis will be on the panel, so looking forward to that with a few podcast regulars. Fothers, anything from you before we go?
Well, there's just I don't want to end on a low note, but there's always that worry with. I mean, I picked the starting 11 today, and I got it bang on, and I could pick the subs as well, because when Nuno looks at the bench, there's Yates and Morato, and then when you 4-1 up, I think we were at that point, then you can look at Taiwo and Jota Silva. Milenkovic went down at one point, when I think it was Delap stood on his ankle, and I don't know. There's just that worry that we still don't have that sort of backup should we get an injury. But I think let's not finish on that, Matt. Let's finish on a positive, because we're a point off Arsenal. We're not going to get any injuries. Everybody's going to come back from international break. The 2 or 3 players that are playing, they're all going to be fit. They're all going to be firing on all cylinders when they come back. And we're going to go into the FA Cup and then the final 9 Premier League games on a high and qualify for the Champions League. So let's not worry about injuries.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about injuries now. Centre half, yeah. Striker, yeah. But the squad is the squad. Morato's a good player. As long as it's not anything massive. We can discuss that another day. But yeah, I'm pretty relaxed about it. Lewis, any final words from you before we go?
No, nothing at all.
Excellent. Well, there we go. Like I say, we'll be back on Monday with Prutz and Mikey, and then look forward to chatting through the week. We'll keep busy during the international break, so do stay with us for that. But in the meantime, have a good weekend, everyone. Fothers, thank you very much.
Thanks, Matt. Enjoyed it. Good to see you, Lewis. I wanted to say, actually, how good it was to be on the podcast with Lewis for the first time, given it was against Ipswich as well, which was the free kick, which I know we've talked about in the past a lot, but what a free kick. Thank you.
Can't go through a day without playing Ipswich without getting that free kick mentioned. But no, how was that not voted the best free kick of all time? I saw one of these stupid, bullshit polls where I think Ronaldo won every award, and it was a free kick that was like Lewis's, but not as good. But because it's Ronaldo, he had to win the awards. So
yeah, listen, I don't mind getting pipped to the post by Ronaldo, that's for sure. So I'm okay with that.
I'm not. I'm fuming about that. I'm fuming at Ronaldo, fuming at Tuchel still. But I'll enjoy the rest of the weekend. Right, like I say, have a good weekend, everyone. If we don't see you Monday, we shall see you soon.